I didn't hike the Camino de Santiago with the intention of starting a YouTube channel. But once I started airing the videos about my trip, people kept asking me questions on how to go about doing this, and was this appropriate for a senior? So I designed this channel to be for seniors. Let's face it, this type of recreation was popularized by our generation. Backpacking as a sport became popular in the 60s and the 70s, my generation. If you're in your 50s or beyond, hiking the Camino de Santiago is a perfect outdoor adventure for you. Hiking the Camino can provide you with a lot of the benefits of a backpacking trip without the camping part. On the Camino, you're staying in a bed every night. That appeals to a lot of seniors. Last week's video was all about the clothes that I wore on the Camino. This week I'm going to talk about the gear that I took and discuss what I probably shouldn't have taken. State of the art when I was in my 20s, an external frame backpack with just a strap for a belly band. Notice my blue jeans. Don't notice my hair. Hiking in the Grand Canyon in my 40s, equipment has gotten much better. Notice it's 100+ degrees outside. This is what I looked like while I was hiking the Camino de Santiago. So what kind of equipment should I be using while I'm hiking the Camino? First off, let's talk about gear. Now listen, I don't want to give you the impression that I am some expert at this and that I know everything there is to know about gear and that I've been doing this for 50 years and so on and so forth. Over the years I've done a lot of backpacking, I've done even more day hiking, but I'm certainly no expert. I like gear, everybody likes to look at the gear, and over the years I've bought a lot of gear. There are many ways to do the Camino, and I'm going to go over those in a separate video. But this video is for the person who has decided that they want to carry all their items with them and they're not going to forward their baggage with a baggage service. In backpacking, there are 3 main items that you want to consider. 1 is the backpack, 2 is your tent, and 3 is your sleep system, which consists of a mattress or some kind of insulation between you and the ground, and a sleeping bag, or possibly a quilt. I already had several backpacks, and although I went to the store and looked at some that I'd seen online, I just didn't want to spend the money. I'd already purchased these items. So here's where I made my first mistake. This was the backpack that I used for most of my backpacking trips in the last couple of years. This is an Osprey Aether 60. It's a 60-liter pack. It's packed chock full of features that make it a very comfortable pack to carry. The problem with it is it weighs almost 6 pounds. This pack I owned. This is a 40-liter pack. It's considered like a day-and-a-half pack. It has padded hip belt, really nice padded straps on it. It has all the major features that you need for a day hike, and you're carrying quite a bit of stuff. It's only 40 liters, but it also only weighs 3 pounds. The first pack I had to buy a rain fly for, and that actually adds a little bit of weight. This doesn't weigh much, but it probably weighs 5 or 6 ounces. And because it was so big, I had to check the bag, and I bought this air porter bag to go with it. I used it to check my backpack, and I used when I was in Santiago and also when I left out of New York. And problem with it is I had to carry it all the way across Spain. It weighs about a pound. This pack has its own built-in rain fly, so I didn't have to take an extra one. Here it is. It's all ready to go. It's very lightweight. It has its own little pocket. This weighs about 3 pounds. One of the major differences between these two packs are, this is about 300 bucks. This is about 150 bucks or less, maybe a little less than 300. So you're spending a lot less money getting something you really need. This pack's got all the features really that are necessary. So let's put this stuff aside, take a look at what else I got. I carried this around my waist. It's a waist bag. Here in my part of the country, we call this a fanny pack. I guess that was real funny for the Brits, who that, I guess, referred to something kind of nasty. What was important about this is I could carry my money and my glasses up here in the front. There's 2 pockets here in the front for this one. And then on the back, what's hard to get to is where I carried my my credential and my passport and whatever extra big money that I had. I never carried more than about $300 or $400 or euros, but still, I would put that back here. Once that was on my waist, my backpack went over it. No one's getting that. This stayed with me everywhere I went. I went to the bathroom, it went with me. If I went to take a shower, it went with me. I slept with it. You never want to leave your money or your passport, more importantly, your passport or your credential, anywhere where somebody could get to it. We'll talk about self-protection and those kinds of things in a separate video. Okay, as I said before, this was my sleep system. This is a Sea to Summit Cool Max Fabric Adapter Traveler Sheet. This one is treated with an insect repellent. I was a little bit worried about bed bugs. I'd heard rumors about bed bugs on the Camino. Never ran into it, but maybe because I had this. This is all I used. I didn't take a sleeping bag. I didn't take a pillow. I found that the majority of places that I went had blankets, and if it didn't have a blanket, I could put on my puffy and my clothes and just sleep in this and my clothes, and I was perfectly warm. Never got cold at night once. And in fact, numerous times I had to crawl out of this and just lay on top of the mattress. This is an ultralight umbrella, and I carried this the whole way. I love this. This is very, very, very light. I didn't look up how much it weighs, but it's way less than a half a pound. And worked really well. I used it during the rain. The only thing it really doesn't work well in is high winds, any umbrella. I carried this, super lightweight. This is a laundry bag. And I saw this on a video before I went, and I bought one thinking, well, I'll never use that. I actually use this quite a bit. You could put groceries in it. I put laundry in it. When I would take my laundry at a particular hotel where they were going to do the laundry, I'd put it in this. And sometimes they would just wash everything right in this and give it back to me that way. Well, this is probably a mistake. This was my water bottle, and this is one of those what ifs. You got to kind of stay away from the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? I've traveled internationally before, and I've gotten sick from drinking the water. So what this is, has an ultraviolet lid, ultraviolet light in the lid. You press the button, and it treats the water that's inside. It's stainless steel. And I carried this all the way across Spain, and I never drank water unless I treated it first. I didn't get sick. Spain is a first world country. They treat their water, but we went through some pretty small little pueblos that looked like they didn't have much of municipal services. And some of those places that we were drinking out of the fountains. And I attribute this to not getting sick. However, it weighed a lot. There was a guy I met when we were talking about this, and he said, well, what he did was every day he'd buy a bottle of water, big liter bottle of water, and that's what he would use all day. And then at the end of the day, throw it away and buy a new one. And, you know, that worked for him. Other people filtered their water. Most people didn't bother with any of it. They drank out of the fountains. They didn't get sick. Everything went just fine. So I carried with me, for emergencies, toilet paper and a little shovel. I never once had to use this. We were traveling in between towns, and I always was able to find a place to use the restroom without having to have an emergency out in the woods. Doesn't mean I wouldn't take this again. You never know. Things happen, and you don't want to be left out there without toilet paper. Another thing about the toilet paper, ladies, this doesn't biodegrade instantly. When you use the restroom and you leave the toilet paper on the ground, it stays there. And there's no reason in the world that you can't take one of those like little bags they use for dogs. And once you're done, put that toilet paper in the bag, and when you get to a town, throw it away. You know, leave no trace. It's one of my pet peeves on the Camino. I carried this as a collapsible water bottle. I only used it once because, you know, a liter of water weighs quite a bit. But I did use it one time because I knew that we were coming up to a space where there was not going to be enough water in between. This is only a half a liter. So I was able to fill this up enough times walking and hydrate enough, even with just a half a liter bottle, through most of the Camino. I don't know if I'd recommend that, though. This is probably a safer method. I would take this again. It weighs next to nothing. Okay, I took a Swiss Army knife. I did use it. It's a little bit heavy. And, you know, frankly, if you're checking your bag, you can take something like this, which is what I did. But if you're using a carry-on, you can't check a Army knife. And frankly, I didn't need it. I could have done without it. If I needed a knife, I could have used a pair of scissors and an Alberti or something along those lines. So I wouldn't take this again. Put this up here. Okay, let's get into the electronics bag. This is really interesting. Say, this is the bag. This is probably the heaviest bag I had. This weighs probably 3 pounds, maybe even more. Start off, I bought some collapsible glasses. I wear reading glasses, as you can see. And I bought these. These are pretty cool. I use these all the way. And they fold up into this little case. They didn't weigh much. And of course, I need to be able to see. At my stage in my site, I can't read the menu. I can't sign a check. I can't do any of those things without glasses. So I had to take that. Okay, this is an American charger for my iPhone. And of course I had to use that while in America, but I had also carried it all the way across Spain. It didn't weigh much. I didn't mind too much about that. This one is a European charger. See the difference? This was an absolute necessity. This one that I bought, it has 2 plugs here. You can plug in 2 different devices. One is 2.1 amps and one is 1 amp. I use that daily. So here, the situation with that, though, was it came with 2 of them. And I don't think I have the other one in here, but I carried that other one all the way across, and I didn't need 2. Okay, this is a battery brick. And I carried this all the way across Spain. It's heavy, and I used it one time only because I was too lazy to get down off my bunk to go plug something in. But I didn't need this. I shouldn't have taken it. Too heavy. You're going to need some source of light. Your cell phone is going to have a light on it. Probably fine. Probably sufficient. I opted to take a headlamp. This particular headlamp is rechargeable. It's by Petzl. It's a very, very nice one. It's a little bit heavy, though. You could probably get a headlamp that's about 1/3 of the weight of this thing, get away with that, and that would have been fine. I used headlamps several times leaving in the morning because it wasn't light yet. I don't recall ever using them in the albergue. It wasn't necessary, but some people did. Anyway, I would take this again, but I think I might have taken a smaller one. So my cell phone is one of those that has a little magnet on the back. You can charge it remotely or with the magnet. So I took this along with me, and I never used it. I just plugged it in. Wouldn't take this again. It's a little bit heavy. I'll take it. Don't need it. All right, here's an item a lot of you might recognize. This is a satellite personal locator device. This one's InReach by Garmin, InReach MIDI. I can text people with this. It has an SOS feature where you push the button, it goes to a satellite, and they will send people to come find you. I never needed this. I never used it. Well, I've used it on backpacking trips. I wouldn't go into the wilderness without it. But on this particular trip, I really didn't need it. I had cell service almost all the time. And actually, my new cell phone has a satellite locator also on it. So this was redundant and heavy. Didn't need it. Don't need to take it. I took my earplugs for the iPhone. I use this quite often. Not as often as I thought I would. I thought actually I would use this every day and listen to podcasts and listen to books and listen to music. And I did do that, but usually it was after walking and while I was in my bunk and I wasn't talking to anybody and I was just relaxing. So I would listen to a book on tape, or I would read, or I'd listen to music. On a few occasions, I listened to music and audiobook while I was walking. This came in handy when I was walking in a big crowd with people that were talking, and I didn't want to hear them talk. Couldn't understand what they were saying anyway, so I'd put my earphones in and listen to some music and kind of drown that out. So yeah, this was good. This is a little portable charger for my iWatch. The iWatch comes with a plug-in charger, which is perfectly sufficient. This is self-sustaining, and I use this all the time, but really it was kind of redundant. I didn't really need it. Oh, there it is. That's the other charger that I was looking for. Okay, that's all the electronics. I'll put this away before it gets lost. And move on to my hygiene kit. So this is a little bag. It's just convenient to put things in a bag so you can find them. Not really necessary, but that's what I do. Let's start off with what's in this bag. I have a little first aid kit that I put together. This is interesting for a lot of people because they go and buy these big first aid kits, but what are you really going to need? This one has a few bandages in it. I got a little bit of tape, some matches just in case, and alcohol swab. That's all I really needed. I kind of went overboard on some of that stuff, playing with the what ifs. This is KT tape. This roll is looking pretty beat up, and I did use this quite a bit. KT tape is my preferred blister protection. If I felt that maybe I was getting a hot spot or it was a possibility I might get a hot spot, I just cover the area with a little piece of KT tape. I never got blisters the whole way. But as you can see, I also didn't use the whole roll. What a lot of people will do is they'll take this and they'll wrap it onto their trekking pole or some other item, their toothbrush, and only take a little bit of this. I took the whole roll. Here's another what if. What if I get a sprained ankle? So I got 2 ankle supports just in case. Never used them, didn't need them. This kind of thing's available in Spain. You don't need to bring this from home. Big mistake, or a little mistake. Didn't weigh much. A little sewing kit. I think I got this actually in a hotel while I was on the Camino, and I just kept that because you never know. What if? This was something that I thought was interesting that people said you should bring, and they were right. I brought some clothespins. There's all kinds of different clothespins, plastic ones and smaller ones and bigger ones and whatnot. These are just your standard wooden clothespins. And the reason you need them is when you wash your clothes, you need a place to hang them up, and they don't supply clothespins. Usually they don't, sometimes they do. So I just took 4. Actually, I wished I'd taken a couple of more. I put my initials on them. You may be able to see that. I put my initials on them because, hey, that looks like everybody else's clothespin. I brought a sleep mask. Doesn't weigh anything. I never used it, but except on the plane. I did use it on the plane. This is a product I bought. It's called Foot Glide by Body Glide. I've used Body Glide. Here's a Body Glide. I've used this before. This is really good if you're starting to get chafing somewhere in your clothes. And the foot one is designed to be on your feet, I guess. I don't know what the difference is, but I bought both. And I used both. I don't know if this is necessary. You could probably get by without it. A lot of people would use Vaseline, and they'd lather themselves up with Vaseline at the beginning of the day. There's different creams that you can get. You can get this stuff in Spain. In Spain, every pharmacy's got some sort of anti-chafing cream. Something like that is probably good. That repetitive motion, you're likely to get chafing somewhere. So in the side pocket here, I've got some toe clippers. I use these. I think I would take them again. Maybe not this big a one, but I did use them. You know, you're gone. I was gone for 6 weeks. So in 6 weeks, and with all that walking, you want to take care of that because those toenails can tear up your socks and actually tear up your feet. Combs. If you saw in the videos, I kept losing my comb. So I've got one here. Here's some shampoo and conditioner I picked up in a hotel. I carried it with me. I didn't need it. Shouldn't have taken it. A little bit of floss, teeth floss. That kind of was important. I also carried the medications that I take in this bag. I don't have any here now because I've taken them all. But I tried to talk my doctor into telling me that I didn't need to take the medications while I was gone. And he wasn't going for it. He said I did. So like most seniors, you know, probably 95% of us are on some sort of medication. So this I also took. This is kind of a medicine bag. This is Spanish ibuprofen. Comes in a little blister pack. This is a little blister pack that I took. I had some ibuprofen in it, some antidiarrheal, and that came in handy. I didn't actually ever have to use the antidiarrheal. My toothbrush, you'll see in backpacking sometimes they'll take these little tiny toothbrushes and they'll cut them in half and just take a little bitty thing. I took a full-size toothbrush in a case, and of course I use that every day. That was important. Another comb. I ran out of toothpaste on the trail, so this is Spanish toothpaste, which of course is the same thing as anything that we would buy here. I also ran out of deodorant, so I had to buy this. This is I bought this in Spain. It was €4. I see the price tag on it, but it fit in my pack and it wasn't very heavy. And frankly, I didn't want to offend people, although we were taking showers every day. This is what's left of the earplugs that I took. I took the wax kind that you put in. I used them, and anytime I stayed in Alberta, I used them, and it helped me. I've heard other people say they didn't work for them. You got to mess around with it a little bit to get the optimum use out of it. But it works great for me. You can find these online. So here's another little baggie with some antibiotic, a couple more Band-Aids, some antibiotic packets, and one sunscreen packet, just in case. Just in case. I took this. This is a tube of insect repellent for backpacking. And you can see this is what I was talking about. I actually did this. I'd forgotten I did this, but I put some KT tape around this. The reason I forgot that I did this is I never used this once. I was never bothered by bugs. The only time I ever had a bug problem was when I stayed in the albergue that was next to a dairy and there were flies. I don't think this would have helped for that anyway. A couple other really lightweight things that I took that I never used. One, this was a mosquito net. I brought this. I've used this in other areas, but it certainly wasn't necessary on this trip. I never used it. In fact, I even forgot it was there. And for my hat, a special hat that I like, these are little sunshades that go on the sides of the hat. It never was an issue for me. So I took this, I never used it, and I would probably take it again just in case. If it had gotten really hot and the sun was beating down on me, this would have come in handy. So also, these are gaiters. A gaiter fits over your shoes and your socks, and that's supposed to keep the rocks out of your shoes. I never used them. And finally, I did use this every day. These are my trekking poles. I brought these from home. These are kind of special trekking poles. They are made of carbon fiber and very lightweight. You know, I love these things. However, you can buy trekking poles when you get there. In Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, there are a couple of places where you can go and you can buy trekking poles. Probably any place as you go along the trail, you can find trekking poles. So if I had it to do over again, even though I love these things, I wouldn't have brought them. I would have just carried that smaller pack as a carry-on, and I wouldn't have taken my knife, and I wouldn't have taken the trekking poles. Everything else I think I could have taken as a carry-on. Well, that's pretty much it for the things I took. What would I have done different? Well, I would have taken that smaller pack. I would have my big pack packed with all the things, including the clothes that we talked about last time, was somewhere between about 23 pounds. Once I added water and food, because I did carry snacks every day, that added a couple of pounds. So I was carrying 25, maybe a little bit more pounds every day, even though that pack is designed to carry a lot more. So my logic was, well, I'm not carrying very much in the pack, so I can afford to carry the heavier pack. That was poor logic. I shouldn't have done that. I should have taken that 3-pound heavier or lighter pack, and with all the things I've said, I probably would have been around 16 pounds, maybe 17. And I weigh 185 pounds to 190. When I left, I weighed about 190. When I got home, I was about 180. So 18 pounds, 19 pounds would have been just about right. I could have gotten under that. And although I didn't suffer on this trip, I think it would have been even more enjoyable with a lighter pack. So that kind of wraps it up for my gear review. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll try and answer them. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this little gear review I did. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but hey, I did do it. And thanks for watching. Buen Camino. And if you like these videos, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out.